In this video, I'll talk to you about running a job with Recon Pro using Echidna. Just select Echidna up here, set up your URL, and our runner is going to use our create chimera defaults, assuming that you use test/recon for the Recon folder. You're going to use critic tester for the test. You're going to have echidna.yaml. You can see them here, and they are not actual values except for the test limit, which we default to 100,000. And most of the times you will use at least 1 million, if not tens or hundreds or even 1 billion tests with Echidna are not that uncommon. By default, we're gonna set the workers to 16, so you don't need to customize the number of workers. We optimize them for the number of cores that we use, so whenever we bump to a 32 virtual CPU machine, we're gonna use 32 workers, etc. And for Echidna, you can customize the path to the test contract. It's very important that your code compiles, so make sure to test this locally if you're not sure how this works. And this path is relative from the directory. So if you use dot for the directory or an empty value, then you will just cd into test invariance and critic. This looks about right. Whereas if you have some sort of a packages/contracts here, then maybe you will still have this relative file like so, because we are already in /contracts in the directory, and then from here we're gonna compile and then find the contract with Echidna. We also allow you to specify the Echidna config file name. You want to follow a similar reasoning that this can be a relative path. So if you put it in something like config/echidna.yaml, this is a completely fine path, as long as we follow that idea that you're in the working directory. And as we always do, if you use create chimera app, you have to customize none of these fields. Everything works out of the box. We also allow you to specify a custom corpus directory. It's very important that if you reuse the corpus from a previous job, that those folders are consistent. Otherwise, we're gonna be unable to find the old corpus or the new corpus. And so keep that in mind. Our recommendation is to always use the same config. There's really no advantage in changing this unless you have a very specific setup. Next up, we have the target contract name. It's just the name of the contract within the file or the path that you want to compile. And we typically suggest having a dot here and critic tester here. These are our defaults. And you can experiment as always with these configuration. As we said here, we have the test limit. Most of our customers will typically just go here, click Echidna, set the repo, and then just change this. And that's as complex as it needs to be. But you may have a different use case, so we still leave you with these CLI parameters. Another very useful CLI parameter is the mode. Most of the times you're going to use assertion mode. That's our default for finding bugs. But initially you may want to use exploration to build a corpus that you can reuse through the corpus reuse field. And then another very useful mode is optimization. Optimization mode allows you to maximize the impact of bugs. Our fuzzer and our scraper are fully built to also generate repros out of optimization mode. So we tend to, based on our engagements, but we tend to start with exploration maybe on the first few days. Just get a quick exploration run. Then we'll typically stick with assertion mode and build a big corpus and also perform our job. And then lastly, we could fork into an optimization mode test in order to verify that some of those properties that break do not break by more than a particular amount. And then another highly underexplored area, but we built for this, is forked mode. You can use fork mode for Echidna as well as Foundry, and you can select a chain. You can also just pass your own RPC URL here through custom, but I'll show you how it will work on mainnet, for example. You can fork from a block, or you can use the tag latest to imply that we're gonna query the RPC before performing the fork. And then we also have this parameter called dynamic block replacement. This is a very advanced configuration. Nobody in the space does what we do, but fundamentally we use dynamic replacement, which is another technology we developed a couple of years ago, to fundamentally alter the source of your code and make it so that you're gonna fork at that specific block. This makes it so that for a project that for which you want to fork frequently, you will always fork on the latest block, even if your source code is forking at a certain block. And obviously you don't want to update the GitHub, every 10 minutes or every hour or whatever to update it. So that's what we did. Most likely you're gonna have to run this a couple of times to make sure it's working exactly. But fundamentally, that's the power of the Pro runner when it comes to Echidna.